Before I even get started, a couple of caveats. One, just so everybody knows, I live in Iowa. That means corn ethanol is a big deal. Number two, personally, I own a vehicle. I run E15 in my car. For those of you that don't know what that is, it is 85% gasoline, 15% alcohol derived from corn, because I need to be clear about this. Now, what is E85? E85 is not something that every car can run. It is a blend of alcohol, 85% alcohol and 15% gasoline. That's the way it's marketed. It's actually, according to a particular fuel standard, anywhere from 53 to 81% ethanol. And the reason why there's that variation is because of winter starts. You need more gasoline in order for the vehicles to start and run in cold weather than you do alcohol. It causes a problem. Plus, alcohol is very corrosive, so you need stainless steel pipes and you need special fittings and all of that. Plus, you need a computer that will look at the mixture and adjust the performance of the engine accordingly. So there's a lot that goes into that, and I wanted you to understand that before I got started. A couple of the big advantages of E85, and to a lesser degree, E15 and E10, which when I first came to Iowa, we used to call gasohol, which is 90% gasoline, 10% alcohol. Also, for the record, most vehicles on the road today can run E10 for years. They say that E15, which is a recent development, most vehicles after 2001 and just about every vehicle after 2010 can run it. I've run it in my 2018 with no problem. So get back to this. The advantages of adding the alcohol to the gasoline gives a higher octane, generally sells for less than regular unleaded at the pump, and was generally believed to be better for the environment due to lower vehicle emissions. It did not, because it was less gasoline, it was less carbon, therefore fewer greenhouse emissions, all of that. It became a popular choice as a result of the passage of the Energy Policy Act of 2005. What most people don't know is something called the Renewable Fuel Standard, which came out of the Energy Independence and Security Act of 2007. This is a federal program that requires transportation fuels sold in the United States to contain a minimum volume of renewable fuels. The RFS requires renewable fuel to be blended into transportation fuel in increasing amounts each year, and it was supposed to escalate to 36 billion gallons by this year. Each renewable fuel category in the RFS must emit lower levels of greenhouse gases relative to petroleum fuel that it replaces.
As a result of that mandate, corn cultivation grew 8.7% and expanded into 6.9 million additional acres of land, but in just 8 years.
Now, here's the problem with that. A recent study by the National Academy of Sciences says that because of that, the unintended consequences of growing more corn in order to make more alcohol to be used and blended into transportation fuel actually has increased more carbon into the air and has worked against the very goals that the fuel was supposed to meet. They actually said that this, according to this new study, the whole process is 24% more carbon intensive than gasoline. And I want to jump to here's why. It basically gets down to the actual planting and harvesting of the corn. Because they're planting more acres and because they're using fertilizer and all of that, tilling the acres releases carbon into the atmosphere. Using the fertilizer releases more carbon in the atmosphere. So it's not the fuel itself, it's the whole process of growing the corn used in making the alcohol blended into the fuel. That's the problem.
Which gets into water quality issues in nearby areas too. And there are oil refineries that do have to help make this happen.
And the oil refineries, particularly the small ones, want exemptions from this standard. They have been petitioning Congress for years.
We use over half the Iowa's corn crop for ethanol too, almost 40% nationally. So
not surprised. Now, I need to say this. According to the president and CEO of the Renewable Fuels Association, he says that this research is completely fictional and erroneous. I want to put it all out there.
Yeah, of course.
He said it relied on the worst case assumptions and cherry-picked data, he claimed. However, the issue is twofold. One, automakers used to build E85 or flex fuel vehicles. You don't find hardly any of them anymore. Two, with the push towards electric vehicles, all renewable fuels are going to be dialed back. So the question is, what does that mean for our farmers?
And I also feel like we could get more out of our land via solar or other things energy-wise than we could out of E85.
But if you're planting corn and that is what you do, how are you going to transition to something else?
Probably more subsidies. Where are the most dangerous cities in America?